I mushed it, Coral. I mushed it. What are you doing? What are you doing? Did you just blow on my face? There she goes. I know. I know. You and this butt. You and this butt. Hi, LaDonna. Hi, Lizzie. Hi, Meta. Hi, Corey. I was trying to figure out what the alt cam is looking at. Hi, bye, John. Have fun wherever you're going. Hi, Mitchell. Coral. Kirby. Oh, give Donna a hug and a kiss for me when she's awake. But we're glad you're here, Kirby. Where are you going? Coral. Nala, what are you doing? Nala. What are you doing, Nala? What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, we stretch. Nala. Yeah, I had a good time. I got to see some friends. I got to get some boba tea. I think I'm addicted. Again, I may have to take a break from boba tea to break the habit. Hi. Nala's like, okay, what can I break? I see her. She's looking around. We're having a boba tea party. That's right. I'm embarrassed. I mean, luckily the people that work there are different at night than during the day usually. So when I go at night, like today, then the people during the day don't necessarily think that I go every day. But that in itself is kind of like addictive uh, thinking because I can't. It's like when alcoholics go to multiple liquor stores because they don't want one liquor store to know how much alcohol they're really buying. And I'm like paying attention to who's working at the Boba time place so that they don't think that I'm there every single day. I have a problem. But I mean, there are people that go to Starbucks every day. I used to be one of those people. There are worse addictions. I would try to find a place, Corey, but the problem is that some of the boba places are all kind of like sugary syrup stuff. You need to make sure that like the place that you go to is like, not like usually I stay away from the boba places that have like the animated characters painted on the windows and it looks like a Hello Kitty kind of place. Um, you want to look for a boba place that has more like fresh ingredients and ask them if they use real like juice or if they use primarily just sugary syrups. Hi, Dorian. Well, right now she's looking out the window, but I'm sure at any time she's going to start attacking the closet. I already gave her an inhaler, so she's like feeling like she can breathe. I'm sure. She's like, what can I get into? Oh, now she's trying to scale the wall. What are you doing? She's such a character. Did you just get tired? What are you doing, Nala? Are you the queen of the dresser? Coral, what are you doing? Baby. I feel like my to-do list is so long and I feel like I'm like never making any progress. And then all of a sudden it's dark and the day's over. Huh, Coral? I'm sure your to-do list was long too. Like napping, cleaning your butt. Yes. Attacking Nala. Do you want to come into my lap? No. I stop making lists. If I don't make lists, I forget things. Hi, Vera. And stop doing things. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? If my whole world wouldn't just fall apart if I stopped doing things. Coral, come in my lap. Oh, look at Nala being cute. What are you doing? Hi, Susan. Well, part of what keeps me up at night, or used to, was like I would wake in the middle of the night and be like, oh my god, I forgot to do this. Or, oh no, what if I forget to do this? So when I started writing lists, it helped me sleep without having like anxiety waking up moments in the middle of the night. Hi. Hi, TJ. What's she doing up there, Coral? Part of it for me is that I have multiple clients and I have to remember things for them as well. So if I don't write lists, I do. I have like panics in the middle of the night, deep sleep. All of a sudden, my eyes will pop open and I'll be like, oh my God, did I forget to do this? Did I forget to do that? Or I'm going to forget this. I'm going to forget that. Is Claire copying me? How dare she? No. She says hi to everybody. How dare she? How dare she? Huh, Coral. That's okay. I'm cool with it. Huh. You're so cute. Yes. Hi, Joe. Us small kitten cams have to stick together. You're so cute. Coral's the perfect amount of lap kitty. She's not constantly trying to get in my lap, but she enjoys some good lap time. So she's enough independent that I don't feel guilty that I don't get to be with them all the time. But she is socialized enough that she likes a good cuddle. Lissy. It's okay, Lizzie. My boba addiction is mine to battle. Bye, Vera. I would prefer you not chew on her. No. I was just talking about what a good cuddler you are. And then you start talking? You start talking? Hey! Settle down. And of course, I still haven't clipped your claws. I'm going to clip your claws tomorrow. Otherwise, I have a feeling I'm going to end up with a big scratch across my face by mistake. Nala, what are you doing? What is it? You're shedding a little bit, aren't you? What? What? You're getting a little acne again. You're such a teenager. What are you doing? What? What? Hi, Queenie. I hope you're okay, Corey. Well, usually I'm pretty. I trim my cat's claws because I prefer not to have scratches all over me. Um, some are easier to clip than others, but some are better at keeping their claws in than others. So I'm cool with having lots of scratches when I have kittens, but when they're older and their claws are bigger, I prefer to try to avoid the blood because I have very thin skin. I bleed easily. I prefer not to bleed. What is it, Nala? Why are you all over there? Hi, Zoe. Yeah, Rob likes to knead on my belly, and I don't like getting the poke marks because I get little red scabs all over my stomach. So I trim his claws because he has the claws that just like never retract. Um, Faye is way more difficult to trim, but she's also better about keeping her claws in. Fiona is actually pretty easy to clip, and she's got the biggest claws, so I can do her regularly. Fig is not really in my lap a lot. She's funny. She goes through periods where she wants to sit on me all the time, and not even she's not all cuddly on me, but like just she wants to like sit and pose on my knees. And she literally like sits like a little Buddha, not even laying down completely. Although sometimes she does get into a loaf position. Usually she'll just stand there like that with her little eyes closed, smiling for like an hour on my lap, doing her meditation, I'm assuming. Oh, sorry, Queenie. But I'm doing the best I can to come in at 9 every night. So you can just kind of keep your eyes open on the cam at 9. I'll tell you guys if I'm going to be out later than that. Today I thought I might be out there later than that, but luckily I got home in time. Hi, Michelle. Nala. Nala. What are you doing? What are you doing, cute butt? What are you doing? You're so cute. Coral, why did you leave me? Feral Kitty's still downstairs. He's doing okay. I go down and I sit with him every morning and every night for like a half an hour and pet him and cuddle. And you know, he can come upstairs to the front porch and visit during the day. I think he'll be happier when somebody's living downstairs with him. But I'm making sure he's getting attention. He's having quite a time. He's having, the older he's gotten, he's having an allergic reaction to fleas. And even if I don't see fleas on him, he's still obviously having a reaction to them. So like on the dot every 30 days I have to give him the flea medicine, and I've been getting him Revolution, and I think Advantage might do work better with him, because even on the Revolution he got a little bit better, like he's not chewing on himself as much, but he's still thinning his fur. So I think I'm going to switch back to Advantage and see if that helps. Because for years, we never had this problem. And it's just gotten worse in the last couple of years. Where he's like making little bald patches on himself. I love Feral Kitty. He's just a drooling little moody kitty. He's all purry and happy and loves cuddling on my lap, and then out of nowhere he'll be like, I must try to bite you. He'll like nip, or he'll like swat. And then he's like, what? Let's cuddle. He's a little crazy. What about brewer's yeast? What, giving that to him in food? I don't think that'll stop the allergic reaction. I think all it takes is like one flea and he has a reaction. Feral kitty is probably like 11 years old, I think. 11 or 12 years old. What are you doing? Which is just crazy to me because he's still like, he seems like a baby to me. He looks exactly like he did when I caught him, you know? I've not heard about brewer's yeast. I'll look into it. I got some diatomaceous, food grade diatomaceous earth. But I mean, really, I've never seen a flea on him. I never, like, I've always given him flea medicine. I mean, there were years that I would give him flea medicine like once during the summer, and then he was always fine the rest of the time. But now it's like he's just has a gnarly sensitivity. So weird. I guess it's just like people. Like I never had allergies when I was a kid, and then I got older and started getting allergic to things. Like I'm allergic to jojoba oil. I have no idea where that came from. I know that I've used things with jojoba oil when I was younger, and now I can't use anything with jojoba oil. Oh, I think Nala's gonna pee or poop. Wait for the waterfall. Good night, Corey. Feel better. Well, it's extra sad on Feral Kitty when he has a reaction too, because his skin is so pale underneath his white fur that he goes bright red. His skin goes bright red. So his little bald patches are all bright red. His ears get bright red. Everything is bright red, and I feel so bad for him. But it is a good way for me to know when he's having an allergic reaction, because suddenly everything is like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Yeah, Harley's the worst reaction I've ever had to a cat. I've never had a reaction like that before. But I think maybe there was something in that I think her pregnancy hormones were maybe making her dander worse or something. I have no idea, but I've never reacted to that extreme. Usually I might get a little itchy from coming in contact with their, like, Fiona's drool, or, like, you know, my eyes may get a little itchy and nose may run a little bit, but oh my god, Nala. Welcome back, Vera. But I had faith that I would adjust and that the allergy meds would work, and they did. Nala, if you bring down that fence, you're going to scare yourself. Oh, you were watching us? No, I'm recording it. Or I will be recording it, since I can't remember what time it comes on anymore. If only Nala did have carpentry skills, my life would be so much easier. Hi, Claire. It's never ending with her. Yes, Claire, they were all telling me how you copy me and say hello to everyone. It was like, how dare she say hello to everyone? Oh, you're nuts. Hi, Kathy. That's okay, Claire. I understand being polite. Hi, Ian. What are you doing? Are you stuck? What are you doing? You're gonna have to crawl out where Coral is. Let me see if I can get a picture. Yes, I unintentionally modeled my cam after Romper Room. But at least I don't have to just randomly pick names. At least I can see your names and just say them. That was always the sad thing about Romper Room. When she didn't say your name, it made you feel bad. Are you stuck? I think you can get out of there. What are you doing? You're such a good climber. Yeah, my growing up, my best friend's name was Euphronia, and like her name never got called on anything. I always She always wanted to change her name. Now, thank God she's over it, but she wanted to change her name to Cindy, which like now as an adult I totally understand. Back then I was like, why would you want to change your name to Cindy? But she just wanted a name that like wasn't impossible for people to remember or like say. Like Coral. And when I was a kid, I didn't like my name. I wanted something like more unique. La, la. Poor Lizzie. You probably have to remember some doozy of names. I didn't want anybody else's name. I wanted something unique and pretty, and like I don't know why I didn't like Sarah. I mean, I don't think I hated it. I was named after Sarah Vaughan and I always liked that. But I don't know. But I guess if I had ever found another name that I really liked, that I would have just changed my name, but I never found another name that I liked. Well, Xenia is the warrior princess name. Interesting, Queenie. Epimere. Well, growing up, I didn't meet a lot of Sarahs, strangely. You would have thought there would have been a ton of Sarahs from the 70s. Um, I'm trying to. Of course, I've met other Sarahs, but not a ton. Well, of course you do, Lizzie. You named your daughter that name. I knew a guy named Dorian in high school. The nickname for Sarah is Sally? That's so weird. My first cat was Sally. Hello. You want to come lay down? Hi, Tam. I don't know any Sarahs who've ever been called Sally. I think all of us would be like, what? Yeah, are you named after Dorian Gray? An Anne called Nancy? That's interesting. I always thought it was interesting that like Robert is Bob. I'm like, why? How did these names get nicknames like that? Or was it Robert is Robert Dick? I can't remember. My uncle Bob was Robert. Hi, Mancy. Welcome. Yeah, like Rob and Robert, obviously. Well, I loved Sally, my cat. She was my first love. I have her picture somewhere. Gusty? What does that mean? Jack is short for John? What? I can see, well, I guess I could see Gusty and Gus for August. I kind of like the name August. like Augustus, but I like August. Bertha. I have 4 of my own cats and 2 fosters. I kind of like those old school names, Ethel. My grandmother was Sylvia. Her sister was Sarah and Helen. Myrtle, I like Myrtle and Maud. Gertrude, Edna, Florence. But I love the name Maud. I think Maud is cute. And Myrtle reminds me of Turtle. I like that. Coral. I would not want to be named Fanny. I'm sorry. Lavita. I kind of like that. Who would name their child Fanny Faye? I like the name Faye, obviously, but Fanny. I like the name Ruby. My mom's best friend, who's no longer with us, had this beautiful, fluffy black cat named Ruby who would play fetch with her blush brush. And she'd always have like beautiful collars. And she always smelled good. Um, and that name always reminds me of that cat. She was so cute. Maybelle. I like the name Belle. I would have changed my name from Fanny to Frances too. Dina Lena Laser. Dina Lena Laser. I think I don't know why that sounds so funny, but it does. Yeah, I kind of like Maybelle. And then you can sing that songs about Belle. Like Michelle, my Belle. Alphonsine? Did they call him Alfie? What are you guys doing? You do not have a tapeworm. Or if you do, we know how to help you treat it. Yes, after we name it. Angry 555. I can imagine somebody naming their kid Hangry. Hi. You want to get in my lap? Still, Maybell, no kids yet? Oh, those claws. Can you retract those claws? Well, don't try to nip me, because I'm trying to not bleed. Ow. Hey, stop. I think you're doing it on purpose now. I think Kirby's tapeworm should be named after a car. I mean, wouldn't that be appropriate? But the question is, sports car or like a Yugo? Do we want to celebrate the tapeworm or do we want to shame it? Tickles the tapeworm. Tequila. Lizzie. And if the tapeworm breaks into pieces upon removal, do we give it multiple names? Or is it still just one tapeworm? Curry's worm. Studebaker. It's one worm. One worm, one name. Damn it. Kermie's falling apart. Beauregard. After pieces of 18. The Kerminator. I don't know, the Kerminator sounds powerful, and I don't think we want to give the tapeworm that much power. Nola. Have all the power. No, we're trying to take the power away, Kirby. We're pulling the tapeworm from its power center. And we're removing it from its power source, which is you and your center. Oh, John has been in chat. He hasn't disappeared completely. Why would anybody with the name Sarah need a nickname? I mean, really, like replacing a short name with another short name, just like I understand calling somebody that's Robert Bob because it's a shorter name, or August Gust or whatever Gus because it's a short name, but just saying Sarah Sally instead of Sarah. My mom would call me Sarah, but one of my best friends, she called me Rah Rah. Well, that's easy to say. The tapeworm will take over the world. Oh my God, your mom. She was nice enough to change your name on a cake, but wouldn't let you. I like the name Tam. Ow, baby, stop with the claws. You know how to retract your claws. I know you do. What? What? I mean, who needs nicknames when you. The only important thing to me is that I need to be able to sing their names. I need to, like, be able. The names have to flow off my tongue. Cool. Are you napping? Fanny, Fanny, Foo Foo. I don't know, I might name a kitten Fanny. Maybe Nala's name should have been Fanny. Fanny Foo Foo. Suki is a nickname for Susan. There's Star Wars books? How did I not know that? Little Fanny Foo Foo. I think that's a great name. Fanny means butt. What does it mean in Australia? There's many, many Star Wars books. Who writes them? Who writes these Star Wars books? It's front butt. You mean the girl bits? Interesting. There's Star Trek books too? So is it like just fan fiction? La la. Really? Licensed by Lucasfilm? That's crazy. Interesting. Are they completely different from the movies? Yeah. Put the claws away, baby. They're like daggers. Hmm. I just don't get a chance to read enough. And like Boba tea, I have a hard time when I start reading a book, I have a hard time putting it down. I become a little compulsive about it and like have to kind of read it. So I end up staying up too late and get a little obsessed. Badgy badgy boo boos. What are you flipping your tail at? Are you looking in the mirror? Are you so happy? Oh, went to sleep. Yeah, my favorite, what was the last book I read? I read a book I really liked. My God. See, I can't even remember. Oh, I think it was the book about this, like, psychopath, this, like, child. um, but I prefer, like, with most things, like, I love, like, Stephen King because I can just kind of read and get lost in the book. But, like, I love the Hunger Games series. Or I don't even know if you can call it a series. Wasn't it like 3 books? There's a lot of Stephen King I haven't read. And I could get lost in. Yeah, and then I read, I listen to the podcast. So in the car, I don't even listen to books on tape because I listen to podcasts. The problem is that I grew up surrounded by books, as you guys have heard. Like, I have boxes and boxes and boxes of books in my garage from my parents. And now you know, with the computer age and Kindles and all of that, I can't handle having lots of books, and I have like one bookshelf filled with books, and even that, like, I think I need to get rid of some of the books or at least box them up. I can't handle, especially after cleaning all my dad's stuff. I'm like, I just want everything gone. But I do, now that we can get books on like Kindle. Oh, the last I read Chelsea Handler's book. That was the last book I read. Her book, like, was gnarly emotional. That's what I read. And I bought it on the Kindle, so that was good. And then I have it there, but I don't have to keep it on a bookcase. Happy birthday, TJ. Oh, I love the Dark Tower series. Yeah, that was good. I didn't finish it all, but I read, I think, the first 3. I would love to. That's on my list of, like, to go back and reread all of the Dark Tower series. I have used a public library, and you can actually get books from the public library electronically. Um, I just haven't. If I read more, I would go renew, like, my. I haven't had a library card in years. And usually, if it's a book that, like, I really want to read, since I don't read as much as I'd like to, I don't mind paying for it and supporting the author. Um, my mom still is like an avid reader, but she used to. I grew up with her going to the library, and even when she moved to New York, she still belongs to the library, but she still buys her own books. And although I think she's stopped buying as many books now, because I told her, I was like, if you, and she lives in a studio apartment, and I'm like, there's only so much bookshelf space, and I'm not cleaning out books again, like, ever. So I'm like, get rid of books, give them away. I believe in giving books away. Like, I love that I have friends who, if they love a book, they'll give it to me, and then I'll pass it on to somebody else. I love that about books. I think that is a great thing to do is if I'm going to buy a book, I don't mind sharing and giving it to somebody else. Amazon is making the Dark Tower books into a series, really? Well, I want to read the books first. I didn't see the movie. I still need to see the movie. I didn't hear good things about it. Yeah, kitten cams are quite a distraction from reading. Yeah, I guess from my parents, I had this thing about if I really loved a book, I wanted it in a like hardback. Um, like I have some Stephen King's in hardback, and then I just reached an age where I was like, what am I doing? Like this is not like I'm not gonna pass these on to anybody. I'm not gonna like take the time to sell them off or anything. They're just taking up space. I'm not gonna reread them. I rarely reread a book, so it's like pass it on to somebody else. Yeah, I just threw out a bunch of my accounting books. I was like, I'm never going to read these accounting books again. Like, I'll go online if I have questions about anything. Classes should go to ebooks. Those textbooks, like when I was in college, even in high school, like the permanent damage done to my shoulder from carrying that heavy backpack is ridiculous. Kids shouldn't have to do that. Everything should be in e format. I have a bunch of Dean Koontz here that somebody gave me that I haven't read yet. I heard it was good. Hi, Suri. Hi, Diane. Why wouldn't your parents let you have books? See, when you're a kid, I understand. Like, that's when people need to have books. There's a book place over that, like a store that sells used books that I'm going to go over and see if they want my parents' old books. There's got to be somebody who needs books. I mean, they're all good books. There's a lot of hardcovers. I just don't have the energy or time to try to sell them or something. You have a picture book addiction, Lizzie? Good night, Tam. Oh, that's so sad, Diane. Like, I got I have my favorite book from when I was in kindergarten is this book called Cartouche. And so I have like multiple copies of that I give away to my friends' kids. Like I understand keeping like books that are mean something. It's just the stuff that like I'm never gonna read that doesn't mean anything to me anymore. Why keep? Well, it's like my mom. She doesn't feel books make her feel comfort. So she has to have bookcases filled with books. It's just something because she escaped in books when she was a kid. Like she through illness, through anxiety, like books were her safety. And so I understand that for her. Um, just I that's just not me. Hi, Jersey. What did you do? Oh, that's such a sweet bookmark, Claire. But I kind of feel that way about podcasts now. I can escape into the podcasts. But I do enjoy books on tape, but I don't know. I'm at some point I'm sure the podcast will become boring and I'll start listening to books more again and maybe even read them. Yeah, that tapeworm is hangry. Oh no, the tapeworm has taken over his motor skills. um, I think when I'm in the car, I prefer conversational kind of podcasts. So like I'll listen to Dax Shepard's podcast. I'll listen to Joe Rogan's podcast. I listen to my lord, my memory is so bad. Like Chelsea Handler had a podcast. I don't know if she'll continue it. I listen to Alec Baldwin's podcast. His is interesting. Chris Hardwork's podcast. Um, what's his name? Michael Rosenbaum's podcast. I love his. And he just started a second one with the guy from This Is Us. And where's the other one? Oh, and Kate Hudson and her brother Oliver Hudson just started one. That so far has been kind of interesting. And Kevin Smith has a podcast that I listen to periodically. Even The Moth has a podcast. I love The Moth. And Mark Maron. There's a ton. It just depends. Like I just look at who's got who on their podcast. I don't know if he's interviewing his neighbors, but he interviews famous people. Oh yes, I listen to Conan and Bryant. I think Claire and I probably listen to all the same podcasts. Yes, in This American Life. I listen to some of Oprah's podcasts. The voice. See, the podcast helps stop the voices in my head. That's why they help me get to sleep. I still haven't listened to My Father, whatever a porno, whatever that one is, but I still have it on my list. The NPR podcasts are really good. Coral and Nala should have their own podcast. I don't think they would say much. Hi, Greyfort. I could just have Nala cough into a microphone. Attack me. Huh, Nala. But you start realizing like there really is a skill to to doing a podcast. Some of them aren't good at shutting up when their guest is speaking. Um, so, and as sensitive as I am to sound, like if they make too many mouth noises, like, oh, I can't handle it. Um, so I'm really kind of selective about who I can handle. And it's so funny because on so many of the podcasts, they talk about the people who complain miso, whatever it is, and that they aren't allowed to chew on the podcast if they like try to eat while they're interviewing or something that people complain because we can't freaking stand the sound of people chewing and slapping their saliva around. So finding good interviewers is really like important. I've already subscribed to it, Claire. I just haven't listened to it yet. I know I need to start, but there's just so many podcasts. And I don't want to listen to it while I go to sleep because I'll just fall asleep. So it's got to be like, I've got to listen to it in the car. A kitty meow translator. If only such a thing existed. Coral's podcast. No, it's a podcast called My Dad Wrote a Porno. Myths, baby? What? I haven't listened to that one. I tried listening to the Sasquatch one, but I just couldn't keep listening. After a while, I was like, this is just sad. But I mean, honestly, for me, I look around and it's more about who they're interviewing. So there are some podcasts that I've only listened to like one or two episodes because they were interviewing somebody that I thought was interesting. There's even Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcasts where they like discuss the episodes, and they've even interviewed people from the show. So anything you like, there's probably a podcast for it. I should do that. I should do a podcast where I just talk about other podcasts. And I can be like, that podcast where they talk about the dad in the porno. You can find podcasts in multiple places, but I get mine on iTunes. And they're free. But I have learned that in order to not take up um, uh, not use up data on your phone, because I listen to it in the car. So I download the episodes and then delete them after I listen to them. But you can just, if you're at home and you're connected to Wi-Fi, you can just stream them. A podcast. Well, I had friends that would talk about the podcast, and I was like, I usually listen to music in the car. And I love listening to music. So sometimes I feel bad that I don't listen to as much music anymore. But I don't remember. I think the first podcast I listened to was Joe Rogan's. And I think he had somebody on that I was really interested in hearing. So I went on and I found his podcast and I listened to it. And then I started realizing like all these famous people are like starting these podcasts, and so it was kind of interesting to hear them interviewing like one actor interviewing another actor. Um, like Macaulay Culkin has a podcast, and it's interesting because when he has on other child actors, um, it's just interesting hearing like the two of them talk together, about what it was like. I don't know. It's just whatever you find interesting. Whitney Cummings just had Dave Grohl on from the Foo Fighters, and that was really interesting. Joe Rogan has a lot of like science people on, and lots of other crazy people, but like some really interesting doctors and stuff. Good night, Sue. So have I, Claire. I haven't listened to him in a while. The last one I listened to was he had Bernie Sanders on. So I listened to that one. I think just sometimes he has people on that I think have been on before, and I don't want to hear them again. But I think he's a good interviewer. Fanny Foo Fighters. I listen to Dak Shepard every week. Um, and Michael Rosenbaum. I've not heard an anti-vaxxer on his show, but I haven't listened to every episode. Um, yeah, I know some people are uncomfortable with him having people on his show that he doesn't necessarily agree with. I don't know. That doesn't bother me. He's one of the only podcasts that I've seen that have had Bernie Sanders on, and it was a good long interview. And he has a lot of science people on that no other podcast. It's what's interesting about him is he's the last person I would think would have some of the information that he has. So he has a really amazing memory and he reads a lot. So when he has these doctors and scientists on the show, like he actually understands a lot of what they're talking about. And and it's fascinating to me because and then he communicates it in a way that I think his listeners can kind of understand what they're saying. So I've always kind of appreciated that. What's coast to coast AM? Well, and I never thought I had the attention span for it either. But the good thing about podcasts for me is that I can listen to like a half hour of it in the car or 20 minutes in the car. And it's not like when I listen to a book. When I listen to a book, when I get to my destination, I'm like, damn it, I don't want to stop listening to it. And with the podcast, I want to continue, but it's like it makes it easier for me to walk away from the conversation and then just continue it when I get back in the car. So, like, if I fall asleep to a podcast at night, it's not going to keep me awake. Where if I were listening to a book, I may get too sucked into it. Good night, Susan. I grew up listening, like every morning, my mom would get up really early and she'd always turn on NPR radio. And I would wake up to the sound of NPR. Um, so I've always liked listening to the radio in the morning. In the car going to school, I used to listen to the radio and listen to the talk. Like here it was Kevin and Bean. Um, so I guess there's something comforting about hearing two people talk. I don't know. What are you doing? Hi, Dirk. Now Coral's asleep. Did Coral wake you up? You're so cute, Nala. Nala's been, at night, she's been curling up next to my pillow. But she doesn't like me touching her when she's trying to sleep. It's so unfair. I'm like, I should be able to pet you while you fall asleep. She's like, no, I'm trying to sleep. Stop. I'm like, but you're all curled up and cute. It's so long. I've realized that whoever moves in downstairs, if they keep Kitty, I may actually have to have them sign something that they won't hold me liable if Kitty like scratches them. Gotta cover my butt because feral Kitty may be a jerk. Like you're taking your life into your own hands. Did you fart? Nala. Oh, yeah, you're probably right, Kathy. She's like, I get it enough from Coral. I don't need it from you, too. Poor thing. But I noticed in the video, Coral had a little scratch on her nose. And she got it before that incident. But I know Nala's gotten her in the nose a couple of times. So she's paid the price. Feral Kitty would. Feral Kitty is very clear on on he is who he is. He doesn't like when I talk on the phone. If I talk on the phone when he's trying to get attention from me, he'll hiss at me. If I touch him too quickly, he may scratch me. Like, you just have to know that he's got that edge. But he's very cuddly and sweet otherwise. Oh, did you wake up too, Coral? What are you doing? You always walk so cautiously. No, tapeworms are not allowed in the temple. Well, let's see, they're not allowed in the temple outside of their host. So if Kirby came to temple, I would never tell him that he's not welcome. But he needs to keep his tapeworm inside. No, I'll leave my clothes alone. Well, they can be part of our stories, but they don't have to be like in attendance. Barry may be a legend, but he's not. He doesn't need to come to the ceremonies. Keep it inside, Kirby. Ew, no, what, no weaving into the tapestries. No, 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 no. Everything is microsuede, and you don't weave tapeworms in a microsuede. Are you stuck? Hold on, baby. You're okay. You're okay. Coral and Nala were playing between the door hinge. Like Coral was on one side and Nala was on the other side. And Coral's claw just got hooked on the hinge and she couldn't get out and she started panicking. Poor baby. And that is why I have to clip her claws. Alright guys, I'm going to go down and tuck Feral Kitty in. It was lovely chatting with all of you about tapeworms and books. Oh my god. You keep your tapeworms inside, all of you. I will see you tomorrow night. And don't forget to